What's up, everybody? I'm Gio, and welcome back to Carvalho Creations, where I show you how to make awesome props and projects of your own. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I created that urban legend of La Llorona and brought her to life using nothing but pool noodles, some scrap fabric, and a foam head. Now, this is going to be a fully loaded tutorial in which I show you how to create the stand that she's actually attached to, the actual sculpture and the painting of the face itself, and of course, we're going to be using pool noodles and a heat gun to create the body. So this is something you don't want to miss, so why don't you get nice and comfortable, because we're about to go wild. All right, everyone, what's happening? So today we're making La Llorona, the weeping woman, right? So if you guys have seen the movie, that was pretty cool the way they kind of did that. I want to create this character to look a little more in agony, like she lost her kids and she's looking for her kids and then also seeking revenge, right? So I want to give that overall look to the character. So let's go over the material list of what we're going to need to get this going today. First and foremost, you're going to definitely be needing a little bit of wood. We're going to be using 2x4 to create a structure. Now for the structure itself, the support, I'm going for this style. Now this is a mannequin stand here, but you can see the way the pole comes backward and then down. So what that does, I know you can't see it on camera here, but it's going to create the illusion that the character is floating. And that's what I want. I want a ghostly apparition that's kind of floating around. So when you set it in your yard or in your display, it's really going to give that cool effect. So we're definitely going to be doing a structure, and I'll show you guys how to make that later on in the video out of 2x4. So you're definitely going to need that. The body itself is going to be made out of our pool noodle, and we're going to use heat bond to connect all the pieces, so you're not going to need extra glue or anything to do that. Just the heat bond is going to work for the support of this. Now, similar to what we did with the scarecrow tutorial, except this will be a little more in depth, is I'll also be making the arms out of pool noodles and the legs as well. And then for the hands and the feet, because I want the feet to be draping underneath the dress that we create, I'm going to be repurposing this character from last year, if you guys remember our Exorcist illusion costume, but got some really cool feet on there. So I'm going to repurpose these feet and these hands to give that illusion that she's floating and the legs are just dangling and the hands are going to be coming out at the audience, right? So you're going to need a styrofoam head and some foam clay so we can do our sculpt today. A glue gun, you're going to need a heat gun as well. We're going to be using some material. Okay, and I got myself some nice white sheer material and then also cheesecloth as well to give more of a look, just like we did with the Jackal character over here. I want to create that flowing look. So when the wind hits the character and it's blowing, it really looks naturally creepy, right? Also, we're going to need some upholstery foam just to thicken out certain parts of the character itself. But this is going to be a really cool build. I hope you guys are excited about this one. I definitely am. I really wanted to try this La Llorona to see if I can make this character come to life, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do it. So without any further ado, let's get to the rest of the build and go wild.
All right, to start off our build today, I'm just going to be measuring and cutting my 2x4 to size. So for my long piece of 2x4, I have it at about 5 feet. And then the supports for the bottom and the top are going to be cut at 18 inches in length. And then I'm making these little supports. So I have my circular saw measured out to a 45-degree angle, and I'm cutting these at about 16 inches in length. And I'm just going to take these 2x4s and screw them together to create that C shape that I'm looking for. And then I'm just going to tack in these bracers here to help support the weight. Also, too, these are going to be for the base here, and in hindsight, I probably would have cut these at about 24 inches in length. These are about 14, just so there's more stability, but it did work out really well. And then for the actual body to hold onto, to hang onto, I'm going to be just drilling with a Forstner bit, so 1-inch Forstner bit all the way through, and then putting a 1-inch PVC pipe, and then I'll pre-drill a hole in the side of that 2x4 and screw that together, and that's going to hold the entire weight of the character.
Okay, so we're just about to get ready for our sculpt here, but I just wanted to show you what I was able to do with this styrofoam head before we started sculpting with the actual clay. So I cut out the section for the mouth because I wanted it open. I want this like agonizing look, and I rolled the eyes back in the head, carved out a little relief for the eyes here as well, and then just glued in some of the old teeth trays I had just for the mouth itself. So that's a good prep. Now we're going to take our foam clay here. We're going to go ahead and get to the sculpt.
All right, for the sculpt today, I love to start with the eyes of my character. I figure if I can go ahead and sculpt out the eyes and the expression in the eyebrows, then the rest of the face kind of just falls into place. And that's because I'm going for the vibe of the character, the soul of the character, and that's always depicted through the eyes. So that's where I start. Now, La Llorona, she's going to be more of a subtle sculpt. It's not going to be over the top like I typically do with my monster creations. She's just a very sad weeping woman. So I'm just basically skinning over the front side of this styrofoam head. I'm going to have a wig over the top of it, so I'm not going to waste material and do the back. There's no sense in doing detail where no one's going to see. And then because airfoam clay tends to expand as it dries, I'm really pulling in and pinching in a lot of the detail to make it over exaggerated, so when it does kind of smooth itself out a little bit, you'll see here in a second, it all comes out really nicely.
Okay, so we just finished our sculpt here, and it's I let it sit overnight to dry, so it's pretty good to go. It'll be ready for paint in a second. But I just kind of wanted to show you a little detail of what the sculpt came out to be. Now, one thing I want to mention with the air foam, this stuff tends to dry and kind of poof out your design a little bit. So I had these kind of carved in a little deeper and the eye sockets a little more pulled in. But the foam clay does tend to expand as it dries a little bit, so you are going to lose a little bit of detail. But for this kind of character, and as lightweight as you can make it and as durable as it'll come out, it's really worth, you know, it's like $2.50 for one of those little plastic buckets there. So really good stuff. Also too, I went ahead and took those extras hands and I just added a little more material over them so the fingers were a little longer. They were a little short for me. But again, I had more detail in the fingers and I lost a lot of that in the nails and stuff. So but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and go back with some paint and we'll be able to pop out all that depth that we had originally put in. So I just wanna give you a little detailed shot of it. Now we're gonna go ahead and get over to the body.
All right, to start my body, I'm just gonna create this little T with my couplers here, and then I'm using my heat gun to bend the neck portion forward because I want the head kind of leaning forward. It looks more realistic when you have your character kind of leaned and hunched forward, like she's kind of floating in the air. Now I'm going to go ahead and just pre-drill some holes in the PVC pipe because I'm going to add, and this is I believe 11 gauge wire, so it's really thick, and I just ran my pool noodle arm through it as well, twisting it on itself. And I wanted something really thick so I can pose the arms and they'll stay in that position and hold the weight, and these were perfect for that. And then for the hands, I'm just sticking the hands on. I do later on just tape them in place. And then to start off the heat bond, like we did with the Scarecrow video, you're basically going to be heating up both areas that you want to connect together and then immediately pressing them together. Now, like I said in my Scarecrow video as well, if you don't do this immediately, if you wait more than a second, that stuff's going to cool down and it will not bond. So you want to take your time and kind of get used to the idea. But here I'm just kind of making sure that everything is really well supported because the legs I took off of the Exorcist costume, and it's all pool noodles, same as the way I'm doing the body here. But I wanted to make sure that it was structurally sound and supported. So I'm just heat bonding as much as I can to create a nice, strong, rigid structure. And then I'm using my tight bond here with my upholstery foam to beef out some of the chest and also the hip area.
Okay, so now that we have the majority of the structure all done, the pool noodle body is nice and sturdy and rigid, so it'll be able to support all the weight. I'm gonna go ahead and go over with a little bit of white material. This is really cheap stuff. I had this from a couple of Christmases ago. And I'm just gonna wrap around all the pool noodle with this material first to get everything covered so you don't see that really vibrant green and maybe some of the legs as well, just to block out some of that color. And then we'll go back in with our nice decorative material and then drape everything around and make the dress look real. So this is gonna be the next step, and then we'll get over to the paint and the hair. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I'm just adding that really cheap material. Now this is a Christmas fluff they sell at the dollar store on the Christmas season. So, you know, to decorate your little towns or whatever. So it's really super cheap. It's super thin, but it does a good job of like an underlayment for my character. Just to get a little more meat on her bones, and then also to block out that color. And then when you're using your spray foam, your spray adhesive, I want you guys to make sure that you want to spray that stuff on there on both sides and both pieces of material and let it get tacky before you put it on. Now, like I say in a lot of my videos, layering is key for these characters. So make sure you layer as much as you can. And again, just like we did with the jackal, I'm going to take this cloth over to create more of a blowing in the wind kind of effect.
All right, so we're almost done with our La Llorona. We're just gonna do some detailed paint. I'm gonna get the hands painted up and the face itself. And I just put some material over the wrists and over the chest just to cover that so I don't get overspray on everything else. But we'll do the airbrushing first, and then we'll go in with a little more detailed paint at the very end, and then we'll call this one done. Yeah.
Okay, so for the paint here, I'm gonna go over it with just a white color. Now I'm leaving it thin so some of that gray pokes through. For the colors for this character, I want to make sure that she looks like a corpse. She looks dead, she looks ghostly. So grays, whites, blues. I want to punch in this color with a little bit of blue just to give that kind of dead, corpsey look. Then I'm going to go in with like a mauve color here in a second, just to push in the darks a little bit more. And I'm going to cover a lot of this blue as well. But the blue is necessary because it helps you blend from the darkest darks into the lightest lights. And it's going to really sell your character. Now, it looks like I'm covering the majority of it, and what's the purpose of doing the blue, but I guarantee you when you see this in person, you're going to want that extra layer. And then I'm going to take a straight black color here, and I'm going to purposely overspray. So just keep my finger on the trigger and let it drip down to create those tears, and then also in the mouth as well. I did tape the eyes off also. So as I remove the tape here, I'm going to go ahead and just blot in some of that black again to push in that color to kind of continue on with the character style. And then just for an extra little layer of color, I'm just going to add some red paint spackles. And I'm just taking my scissors here. We're going to tear up that dress, make it look like she's been wandering for quite a while. And with the cheesecloth, the best thing with the cheesecloth too is I just tear that with my hand to kind of pull it away, make it look more natural. We're going to add a couple accessories here, the wig, and we'll call this character done. If you guys are liking these kind of videos, let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, happy haunting.
Thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end of our video today, and I hope you enjoyed our La Llorona prop. This was a lot of fun to make this character, and it's a classic case of what it's like to be able to take almost nothing and turn into something as incredible as this is here. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any means. This is just something that's so much fun to me. I have so much passion in doing these videos, and it's great to be able to connect to each and every one of you. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you for subscribing down below, because even if you weren't before this video, I'm sure you will be now. Until next time, keep building things, stay creative, and don't forget to go wild. I'm Gio from Carvalho Creations, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, high five. I know. I'm tired.